Hi, this is Nick here at Saratoga Wine, and I have a really special guest with me today. This is Pieter Ferreira. He is our Chief Operating Officer for the sparkling wine house Graham Beck in South Africa. Pieter, welcome.
Thank you, Nick. Wonderful to be in Saratoga.
Yes, thanks for joining us.
It's on run to a big week for you guys.
Yes, we are. We're heading into the Belmont weekend here, and we're featuring the Belmont for a couple of years, and that actually ties into Graham Beck, believe it or not, a little bit. And in fact, they were actually in horse breeding and horse racing before they got into the wine game, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, by trade, Graham Beck was a coal miner, and then he ventured into breeding of thoroughbreds. He became the most important breeder in South Africa.
Wow.
And then obviously he bought interest. He bought Gainesway Farm in the late 90s.
Okay.
And then they slowly brought their stock into Lexington.
Right. So, okay. So how did Graham Beck sparkling happen?
That is really interesting. Well, out of the way where there was a very tragic flood in 1981.
Okay.
In Robertson, which is the location, and Graham Beck helped the family who suffered the worst damage, and he actually bought the farm. And the farm had really great potential to be, a good wine farm.
Right.
And he said, well, we're going to be the best example of sparkling wine out of South Africa.
That's great.
So from the onslaught, our work was cut out.
Right.
And I met the Beck family in 1990, and it's been an incredible journey so far. It's 37 years on. Obviously, we relate to vintages.
Right.
We've had 36 vintages now.
That's
since,
amazing.
We started the operation. And we're growing from strength to strength. Today, we have well over 150 producing guys in South Africa.
Wow.
Focusing on sparkling wine, but many of them still make still wines as well.
Okay.
And we now have a collection of about 11 specialists. And we have incredible opportunity to show the most incredible soft and integrated bubbles, like we've seen tasting through the range. It is really the added value of Cap Classique from South Africa is sunshine. You can actually taste sunshine.
Right. Now let's talk about that real quick. Yeah. So what is Cap Classique?
So Cap Classique is the reference to the Cape, where the grapes are grown.
Okay.
The Western Cape is the area where the grapes are grown, and Classique is the traditional method. So this is a restriction we've always had in South Africa, that we could never have a reference to champagne, nor the méthode champenoise.
Right.
And we just thought, well, méthode traditionnelle, there's so many people, we have to find something uniquely different.
Right.
In 1992, there was 14 like-minded producers at the time, and we said, well, let's get together. We had copious amounts of bubbles. And we realized, well, Cap sounds a little French, so, bugger the French. Cap will reference the Cape,
right,
and Classique, the traditional method.
Let's dive into these wines real quick. I know we have some of the Cuvée Clive on our glass, but talk me through the lineup here.
We have a philosophy of a non-vintage style versus vintage and prestige. So a little bit champagne-esque like demand, but philosophy is where it's really born. We have two non-vintages, which is the white blend of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir.
Okay.
The Rosé style, also based on Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. And they will be fed with a little bit of perpetual reserve.
Okay.
From year in to year out to keep a golden thread to that house style. And we will have these wines for 18 months on the lees.
Okay. And the minimum requirement is
12 months.
It's 12, okay.
But we've always wanted to just show a little bit more intensity, a little bit more of a finer bubble, and these two wines really express themselves beautifully. Expression of Chardonnay on the entry, expression of Pinot Noir, And it's just beautiful how the two grape varieties interact. And then Cuvée Clive, which is our prestige cuvée. It's a wine we're incredibly proud of. I think it's the pinnacle.
I mean, look at that color too.
And
It's so
drives
golden in
everything.
color.
This is the 2018 95 Chardonnay, 5% Pinot Noir. And if we bottle and we find the right components, because there's no rules to this.
Okay.
It could be one component, it could be based on Pinot Noir, it could be based on Chardonnay, or it could be single varietal. It really depends on what the vintage allows us to show. And as the winemaking team, once we're happy, we will bottle it, but doesn't mean we will release it.
Right.
So we still grow with the wine, we follow it. A story on wine is just so far more interesting than trying to tell you what the chemical analysis is of the wine. And this is our main calling card. It's a wine that we proudly made in 1991 alongside the first of our Blanc de Blanc.
Okay.
But these were the two wines that was introduced at Graham Beck in the early days. And when South Africa managed to, eradicate apartheid, and we had Nelson Mandela freed, he became our first democratic president, and it was used at his inaugurational party. It's such a proud moment that one can get quite emotional about it sometimes, but it really just set the tone, and it was just amazing that we could tell the story.
Right.
And I presented to a sommelier, and the sommelier in Chicago bought for 3 restaurants when he heard the story. And you know what? Who pitched up in February 2008 at the restaurant? Barack Obama, because they were celebrating. He was the Democratic nominee for presidency. And they walked into the Provence, or the Salon Privé, offered, Graham Beck on a tray with a label on there, and says, "This is the best beautiful wine from South Africa used at Nelson Mandela's inauguration."
Wow.
It's fabulous. So we call it the President's of Choice, or the President's Choice.
Well, today turned into an inspirational tasting. What an amazing lineup. You can find this selection here on our site, SaratogaWine.com. Peter, absolute pleasure.
Nick,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I very much look forward to making my way down to South Africa to taste these wines for firsthand on site.
We have your name on the list.
All right. Until next
Cheers,
time, folks.
everyone.
Cheers.
Thank you.